Transfer diagnosis. Anxiety reaction, severe. Active symptoms, in remission.
On this, their first night back in the States, each man who is able may make a long-distance call without cost. After months and years of silence, familiar voices are heard once again. Then each man makes for himself a small home, which will be his for the 8 or 10 weeks to come. Now in the darkness of the ward emerge the shapes born of darkness. The terror of things half remembered, dreams of battle, the torments of uncertainty and fear and loneliness. Begins with an early morning ward inspection. The medical officer in charge checks the condition of every man. Modern psychiatry makes no sharp division between the mind and the body. Physical ills often have psychic causes, just as emotional ills may have a physical basis. Possibilities of organic disturbance in the brain are investigated by means of the electroencephalograph. The Rorschach test, the things that the patient's imagination sees in these cards, gives significant clues to his personality makeup.
This looks sort of like a drawing of two women standing on a rock and waving their hands.
This man suffering from a conversion hysteria requires immediate treatment. Organically sound, his paralysis is as real as if it were caused by a spinal lesion, but it is purely psychological.
Well, just sit him up about the middle of the bed there.
I feel pretty good, huh?
That's fine. Now sit yourself over there. Just a little so I can talk to you?
Yes, sir.
Now, what is the trouble? You think there'd be what's that?
Nerves. Yes, it make me flinch like that.
I see. How long has that been going on?
Since Friday.
Friday
night.
Come on suddenly or gradually?
Suddenly, sir.
How?
Well, I start in the afternoon with crying spells.
Mm-hmm.
And felt something funny in my shoulders here. Back bothered me. Just started to cry. I wasn't controlling my legs and my arms.
Was there any reason for crying spells?
I don't know, sir.
Anything happen at home to bother you?
Well, my mother's been ill.
She has been ill.
That's right.
That worry you a lot?
Quite a bit.
Well, now, has this got anything to do with your mother's illness? Any reason why you should have that kind of reaction?
No, sir, not that I know of. Unless my mother's illness might have brought this on. I try to hold it while it hurts, but...
I see. You've just been holding these things in.
That's right, sir.
No way you can control this at all?
No, sir.
Well, now we're going to have to help you do that, of course. Let's take off this jacket here. Just slip that off. All right, now lie down on the bed.
My shoes.
Right, now we'll leave the shoes on so you can walk in them. I think we're going to get you walking. Let's come over here. That's the boy. That's fine. That's good. Now you lie steady. Lie steady. That's the boy. This is all going to go away as I give you this medicine. No bother at all.
The method employed here is effective in certain types of acute cases. An intravenous injection of sodium amytal induces a state similar to hypnosis.
What a torpedo that is. You mind if I look this way?
You look that way. There's nothing for you to watch here, but you're going to talk to me as we go along.
Yes, sir.
That's all. Now, you're not going to feel much of anything else. You're going to feel a little bit woozy.
The use of this drug serves a twofold purpose. Like hypnosis, it is a shortcut to the unconscious mind. As a surgeon probes for a bullet, the psychiatrist explores the submerged regions of the mind, attempting to locate and bring to the surface the emotional conflict which is the cause of the patient's distress. The second purpose of this drug is to remove, through suggestion, those symptoms which impede the patient's recovery.
Now, tell me a little bit about what you're thinking of. The thoughts are coming to your mind now.
Nothing in particular.
Well, now let's go back. Let's go back to Friday.
Friday?
Yeah, think about that.
Friday. My mother argues with me.
Your mother argues with you?
Yeah.
What does she argue about?
Well, every little thing. If you sit down in a long chair or something like that. Doesn't like the stuff you get in the store. And she calms down.
Well, see, have you always tried to please her?
Yes.
Always tried to please her.
I used to clean her house for her when I was a smaller.
Well, now, why do you think she argues like that? Because she's sick?
Well, she doesn't try to control her temper.
I see. How about your father?
He's a swell guy.
He's a swell fellow, isn't he?
Gets kind of hot-tempered. Since my mother's been sick, it's been costing a lot of money. And he's lost a lot of weight about worrying.
I see.
My mother argues with him. She wants to know where the money is. But I don't care about that. As long as everything turns out all right.
Well, now, this jumping, what does that make you think of? Think about it a minute.
I can't help it. It just jumps.
How about the legs? Do you know anybody who had any trouble with their legs like that?
No, sir.
And what does it make you think of? Go on.
Except several years ago, there was one fella. He had something wrong with his right leg. Warming the knee, but he's walking today. That hasn't bothered me.
Was that anything like your leg?
I don't know. He couldn't walk at all.
He couldn't walk at all?
No.
What do you think of when you can't walk like that?
I wish I could walk.
But what do you think of? What comes to your mind when you find that you can't walk?
So maybe I think my mother and father should be okay. Sometimes I wonder, hope the war ends soon. Things like that. Nothing in particular.
Well, now the shakes are going now, haven't they?
Yeah.
How about your legs? They're good and strong.
I feel all right.
Move them. Let's raise them.
Oh, I don't see them raising before, but I can't walk.
Well, how about them now?
They feel all right.
They feel good now, as if you can walk in them, don't they?
Toes feel numb.
Toes feel numb, but that's going away, isn't it?
Yeah. Gee.
Raising them fine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now you're going to be able to walk, aren't you?
I don't know.
Well, you're going to, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I'm gonna walk. I love walking.
You love walking.
I did.
Always been very fond of walking. Now you found yourself unable to walk. Now you're going to get right up and walk. Right now. All right, now let's sit up. Sit up on the side of the bed. Here you are. That's fine. All right, now stand up. And look at that. Isn't that good? All right, now walk out here. Walk over to the nurse all by yourself. That's the boy. Walk over to the nurse. You're just a little woozy. That's the medicine. Now come back to me. Come back to me. Open your eyes. That's the boy. Is that fine? Is that wonderful?
Sure.
All right, now again, once more.
Yeah, but how long will it be?
Oh, it's going to stay that way. It's going to stay because that's taking care of your worry now. All right, now come on back to me, and I'm going to let you go to sleep. When you wake up, you'll keep on walking perfectly well. How about it?
Thanks, sir.
Righto. All right, now let's get up in here and we'll go to sleep. Now, there you go. Now I'm going to have you go right to sleep. When you wake up, it'll be all right.
Thanks.
All right, sleep.
The fact that he can walk now does not mean that his neurosis has been cured. That will require time. But the way has been opened for the therapy to follow. Now a new way of living begins, very different from the old one whose purpose was killing and trying not to be killed. Now in an environment of peace and safety, all the violence behind them, they are building rather than destroying. Men have their choice of occupational therapy. Some find relaxation in mechanical jobs. Certain types of cases obtain relief in precision work, which answers their inner need for order and certainty. For sons and daughters and nieces and nephews and neighbors' kids, hobby horses are turned out by the carload. Physical reconditioning is not the only purpose in sports, which also serve to bring men out of their emotional isolation and back into group activity. One of the most important procedures is group psychotherapy. Here, under the psychiatrist's guidance, the patient learns to understand something of the basic causes of his distress. As one of a group, he also learns to understand that his inner conflicts are, with variations, common to all men.
And I think of it a little bit like this. We want to get you out of your own feeling of isolation, to get you to feel that you are like other people. In order to get to that, we have to use knowledge as one thing and something else which has to be added, and that is an experience of safety. You could say it is almost the core of all our treatment methods. Development of knowledge of oneself with the accompanying safety that it brings. I'd like to see if we can get some illustrations of how one's personal safety would stem from childhood safety, and how the childhood safety itself would stem from the parents' safety.
In my illustration, as a child, whenever I underwent any experiences that were frightening to me, I never told my parents. I kept it to myself. While I was alone at night in my room, I'd call on God. So if I had done anything wrong that I was ashamed of, I was ashamed to go to my parents and tell them what I had done. So I kept it to myself. And I used to be in constant fear that my parents would find out my feelings.
Well, I wonder if there's any of your mother's troubles that you would know about.
No one, my mother never gave any of the children any part of her troubles.
Well, that would be the same thing that happened to you. She didn't tell her troubles, and you didn't tell yours. You took your troubles to God, and she probably did the same thing. Probably didn't even confide in your father. In other words, the kind of method that you used to get relief from anxiety was really, we'd have to assume, learned and felt right in your home, the same kind of thing.
I think it was all caused by economic conditions of the world. I mean, people trying to compete with one another, trying to get a better job, trying to keep up with uprising of living, things like that, of course. A lot of arguments in the home. Mother and father arguing about the price of the food, and that has a reflection on the children.
That's right.
Things like that. So I think that was one of the causes of illness.
Not having enough food to eat, or the arguments between the mothers?
I mean, there was...
Well, which was the worst, though?
Well, I guess the arguments.
Sure, of course the
Because
arguments.
I can't remember about the food.
There you are. You can't even remember about the food or the lack of food.
I have in mind my own childhood. We're coming from a moderate family. Moderate in the sense that the family had some sense of security. What happened there was we were told that myself, my brothers and sisters, we couldn't just play with any of the kids we wanted to play with unless their parents in turn had the equivalent of what our parents had. And as a result, we were kept in a narrow circle, very, very narrow. However, I have found that there has been a strong yearning on my part to break out of this environment, to be able to play with Tom, Dick, and Harry.
I'd say the net result's like this. Your mother did not feel really so superior. She felt inferior when she tried to make you take the attitude you were better than the other children. So that now, in certain experiences in the Army, have brought that out more clearly, because you've been thrown in with Tom and Dick and Harry and need to get along with them. It's not necessary to be in the Army. It's not necessary to be in the war. These kind of troubles have always gone on in all time, through all the centuries.